So should you be worried right now with where we are? So Bitcoin is experiencing a slight pullback, and we're hovering around a very important level of support. Most of all, the chart suggests we are tracking around an area where we have seen significant pullbacks in the past. And with that in mind, remember, every single day in crypto is an adventure. Join me along for my journey as we put out shows pretty much every single day. Hit the subscribe button now. I'd greatly appreciate it. And at the end, if you found value in this video, hit the like button. I also would appreciate it. And with that, let's get right into checking out the charts for Bitcoin. So we've been in this ascending channel, and as you see, we've hit, we bounced off this level of support, floor of support, like 9-10 times before we bounced up, 9-10 times before we bounced up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're hovering around this floor of support right here. As you can see, the RSI is losing steam. MACD, the momentum in the market is also, the bulls are losing momentum in this market. There's been a lot of positive news the last couple days, obviously, and today's going to be no different, hopefully, with some of the things that are going to come out in the economic watch we're going to talk about in a little bit. But, Bitcoin has the bears have been losing, but bulls have been barely winning. I shouldn't say barely. We've run up quite a bit. But right now we're looking at, let me show you some other charts that actually have me just a tad bit, not worried, but concerned. Okay. And then, had a really good one here. Okay. So this is the one, you might have seen it in the thumbnail, and we're looking at the total market cap of crypto. Total market cap of crypto. Now, people are going to get mad at me for saying these things, but I'm going to say them anyway. If you look at this, we had between this peak and this peak, there's about, what is that, 175 days, depending, I don't even think I was all the way there. I think it was 182 days. From here to here, we went up 17%, and it was 175 days. Now let's do that over here. We went up, that was 36% and 273 days. So the time between the peaks is farther. Now watch this. This is the more concerning move. We had a top. We thought we hit a top. We trembled down. We consolidated, moved up, parabolic, double top here, retreat. Is this a dead cat bounce? Okay, that's what I'm really getting at. If you look at the time between this top and this top, we're talking about 28% and 133 days. Let's try this one. 10% and 105 days. So do we have time? If you look at the time between here and here, I mean, we're even though we're not at the end of this halving cycle, the time between the starts and the finishes is starting to get very, very odd or very, very consistently concerning. 329 days. We got 434 days. So this is becoming a longer cycle. If you look at the total cycle, when is it going to end? If you look from where it probably started here and coming into here, and you look at where it probably started here and coming to here, we've got very similar time frames on our hands. And a lot of people will say, well, no, this peak right here is more like this one right here, right? We peaked up, but that's not what this chart says. This chart says we peaked, double peak, peak, double peak, went down, went up, bounced and came down, That is a concern, unless you look at some of the other facts and data that we have right now. So look, if you look at total market, this is Bitcoin dominance has dropped significantly. It's bouncing, but it's still down significantly from where it was at 65%. We're more like 62%. That's the spot market. We have some economic data that's supposed to come out today, the jobless claims, core PPI. The economy is running actually pretty smoothly. And, we're going to see some weakening in the economy. If we see more loss of jobs, it's going to trigger a Fed liquidity event. But if we don't trigger a Fed liquidity event and the economy runs smoothly, we could finish out this cycle as it could become like a super cycle. So there's a lot going on in the marketplace right now, but there's also a lot of positive things that just weren't around last cycle. We have pro-regulatory shifts in the U.S. and around the globe. I mean, think about it. Donald Trump has said we want to make this the crypto capital of the world. Other countries are fighting for that. They're allowing crypto, they're adopting it and things like that. We have significant stablecoin growth. I mean, significant stablecoin growth. Stablecoins are growing at a rapid pace. We have Bitcoin institutional adoption. We have the ETFs coming in. We didn't have ETFs last cycle, and the ETFs have been around for about a year, and they've taken up 5 to 6% of the market cap. We have Bitcoin strategic reserves in the works. There's talk of owning 1 million Bitcoin for the United States. Well, other countries have come out and said, you have El Salvador, Bhutan, China's allegedly stacking, Russia. You have other countries that are wanting to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We have strategic reserves already approved in certain states. I believe Arizona, New Hampshire, other states are trailing behind them but are looking into it as well. We have companies adopting Bitcoin. There's over 70 companies that have started buying Bitcoin as a strategy. You have obviously MicroStrategy, or the company formerly known as MicroStrategy, Strategy owning a ton of Bitcoin. Metaplanet trying to do the same thing. So you have all this institutional adoption. And if you really boils down to the rise for the further need of technology in the finance world, we're working on antiquated 100-year-old systems for finance. Think about how long it takes to move money from A to B. Yeah, money might appear in that other bank account quickly, but it doesn't actually get there, and you can't actually transfer it out in many cases. So if you need to move money quickly, the current system just doesn't allow for it. So all of these things, lead to one thing, is that the Bitcoin adoption, crypto adoption, is on the rise rapidly. Are we in a dead cat bounce situation? Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm not selling my crypto right now. I might close some trades out, and we could see ourselves fall back down. If we breach this 786 Fibonacci, we could go back down to further levels down. I mean, we could go all the way down to 82. We could go back down to the original retracement, which is around 74,000. I think that's unlikely unless we have some catastrophic or global event happen. But right now in the short term, I'm hoping, and hope is a bad strategy, but I'm looking at this stair step to continue. We've been stair stepping our way up. If you look at this, we've been stair stepping our way up right here. And we go up, stair step, boom, boom. Or when's the next boom up? When are we going to hit the retracement to all-time highs? We are a very data-driven market right now. The macroeconomic events that have been playing, the tariffs they're not done yet, but they're on their way out. They're working on agreements right now. They're working on deals. And so if we can see the tariffs, we got about 90 days until that tariff reoccurrence or resurgence, and if we can get to deals before then, if liquidity, or at least we don't need a ton of liquidity pumped into the market. There's already a ton of liquidity on the sidelines. They talk about it all the time. M2 is at like an all-time high right now. So you don't have to have a lot more liquidity in the market. You have to have consistency in the market, or strength in the markets, so people feel comfortable putting their money back into things like equities and cryptocurrencies and other, bond market for sure. We'd love to see a resurgence in the bond market. And I think, you have President Trump from the United States saying, look, it's time to buy stocks. He's signaling that we're going to have massive equity growth over the next couple of years. So is he wrong? Is he trying to trick you? I don't think so. His legacy is going to be dependent upon that stock market pumping. So this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm just telling you what I'm looking at, and the reason why I'm not selling all my bags right now. I'm looking at furthering, I'm looking at acquiring as we come down, selling slowly on the way up, but I haven't seen something that makes me believe that this is a dead cat bounce. It could be, so be prepared for that. But at the same time, I don't think that's exactly where we are. I'm still holding my Bitcoin and my altcoins, and I believe that the best days are ahead of us. I could be wrong. Weirder things have happened. And with that, that's all I got. Hope you got some value out of this. If you did, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.